parenting is a hands-on sport. It's a contact sport. It's not a sport that you can do from the sidelines, belting out the magical phrases that you've learned from the gentle parenting world. That is not how parenting works. You need to get in there, make the boundary clear, and immediately follow through with the consequences. Welcome back to Hi Fam. Today we are reacting to gentle parenting videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, and let's dive right in.
Are you ready to be nice?
No!
Okay, we're gonna sit out here until you're ready to be nice.
Okay, so right off the bat, I just want to say that I have a lot of empathy for this parent. I have sat in timeouts for 45 minutes at a time over the years where my toddler is crying, is out of control, is having a meltdown, and really all I've been able to do is just wait for these big emotions to subside. I've had to keep them safe from themselves. I've had to keep them from destroying property or hurting other kids in our family. And so I relate to this parent and I empathize with her right off the bat.
Hands are not for hitting. When you're ready to use your inside voice, you can talk to me.
Okay, so clearly this parent has read some gentle parenting books or seen all the gentle parenting memes, and they're repeating these kind of mottos that we've been taught over the last couple of decades. Are you ready to be nice? Hands are not for hitting. When you're ready to be nice, we can go back inside. And I think one of the things that does come through, and this is, again, not criticism of this parent, I totally understand. I've been in this situation. One thing that I think is a huge mistake that she's making is that she's filming this, right? She's filming this interaction and then uploading it on social media. So I just want to say this is probably true of all the videos that we're going to see today. I can relate to that. I understand. I also create content. I'm also, an internet person, and I use some footage of my children in some of my videos some of the times. And I certainly did a lot more back then in my early days on the platform. But 10 years ago, I think at least I was a lot more naive about the dangers and the privacy violations of putting, little kids on the internet, especially if they're in vulnerable situations like crying, melting down, etc. Today, we know that content lives forever, that you cannot scrub it, that people can capture it and redistribute it. And I think that this is a private moment, and I think it's not fair to the child to put it on the internet. Okay, so again, I'm speaking from experience. I've made these mistakes myself. But with that said, I also think that it adds an extra layer of performance onto the parent, right? She knows that she's videoing this. She's imagining that she's going to be making content out of it and uploading it to TikTok. And I know, again, from personal experience, that adds a layer of inhibition that can be good because you're kind of trying to perform well. You're trying to do gentle parenting well, right? So it can inhibit you in a good way. And I often give that advice of imagining you're being filmed, right? Or filming it maybe for yourself. But the idea of actually then putting it online, I think makes this already robotic, scripted, unnatural kind of interaction and dynamic even more unnatural and performative. And I think what's going to make it harder for this toddler to just calm down and to just see their mother as just being present, being patient, waiting it out, or setting a boundary is that there's this third person in the room, right? This kind of ghost of the audience that she's recording this for. And I think it makes it very hard to judge these pieces of content on their natural interactions because they are unnatural.
Laura Lane. Hey.
What?
Can you use your inside voice?
No.
We don't need to yell. Hey, no. Hands are not for hitting. We don't.
Okay, so here's exactly what I mean by this kind of robotic parenting that I think happens in gentle parenting. The child just threw a chair at her, and she was very quick to glance back at the camera. And I read that as she's checking in with the audience. She's reminding herself that she's being watched, or she will be watched in the future. And so she's moderating her natural response, which is to get upset and to find that unacceptable and not to stay right with a toddler who's throwing a chair at you, or to physically stop them from doing so. And instead, what it seems like, let's keep watching, but it seems like she's just going to exercise this supernatural patience that actually I think borders on the unhealthy, because the toddler's not getting any normal feedback, normal consequences for their actions. When you throw a chair at someone, they do not want to be with you. They get upset with you. They get hurt. They move away from you, or they stop you physically, right? You get into an actual physical altercation with them. They don't just sit there and say, no, hands are not for hitting, right? That's odd. And that's teaching this child actually to be empowered and emboldened in their violence, because they're not actually getting the normal natural feedback loop that all mammals are supposed to get when they violate someone else.
Let's be nice.
I want to go inside.
Well, we can go inside when you're ready to be nice.
Again, I'm not trying to like throw shade at this parent. She's doing her best. But I'm just wanting to use these examples to learn and to figure out and to try and decipher things. So one of the things that I'm also seeing here is just a ton of talking. Like the toddler is clearly dysregulated. She needs just some time to calm down. And I actually think that all these weird questions, like, are you ready to be nice? Clearly she's not ready to be nice. She just threw a chair at you. She's screaming. She's trying to physically open the door. And all of this talking at her, again, is for the performance. It's for the gentle parenting experts. It's for the books. It's for the people who are going to be watching and applauding and being like, go mama on TikTok. It's not for the toddler. It's actually aggravating her and agitating her. Like, why is my mom so disconnected from what's going on with me? I'm completely out of control. Why isn't she holding me so I can't throw a chair? Why isn't she leaving me to calm down in a safe place, so that I can re-regulate myself and not be violent towards her? Like, why is she sitting there and just being like, hands are not for hitting? Are you ready to be nice? Like all these agitating questions. The toddler can't reason with her. She's a toddler. She's clearly a very young child. And all of this over wordiness is so unnecessary. And I think a lot more aggravating and irritating, and it makes the words cheap because it enacts a real conversation, but there's no real conversation there, right? The toddler's not saying, oh, you know what? Thanks for asking me. I am ready to be nice. I'd love to go inside now. You can just wait. You can just sit there and wait. It's kind of like, to me, similar to a toddler having a diarrhea and you're like, are you ready to be done? Are you done? Are you done? Are you done? Like, she's not done. She's in the middle. Just wait. You don't need to talk. You don't need to do anything. You just need to wait and make sure that she does it in the toilet and not anywhere else. And I often just see toddler tantrums like that. Like, make sure she does it in a safe and private place and not anywhere else, not hurting the baby, not, throwing things in your house, not hurting you and throwing a chair at you. Make sure she's not doing any of that. And then just let it out, let it pass.
Hands are
Oh, okay. So now she's getting actually violent with her.
I don't like that. That hurt.
She's smacking her.
You need to keep your hands to yourself and be nice.
Oh, I need to go inside. I need to go inside.
No, we are in timeout until you're ready to be nice.
Yeah.
Are you ready to be nice?
No.
Okay, well then we're going to stay out here until you're ready.
I'm outside.
So there we see that little thumbs up to the camera, like, I'm doing good, right, internet? Please affirm me. Please, validate me. And you can see actually in the comments here that people are not necessarily affirming her, right? Someone says, that's a future Karen right there, right? Trying to rationalize with a child who hasn't fully developed cognitive skills. True. Discipline that child immediately. Did she just throw a chair? People are not validating and affirming this mom because it does look like you're just encouraging more violent behavior. You're saying these catchphrases that the child does not understand over and over again. Are you ready to be nice? Are you ready to be nice? And she's screaming at you, no. And I think it would be better in this case just to not say anything, just to not give it so much attention, not to reinforce and kind of mix up that behavior more and more and more, but rather to just back off. Do not let her hit you. Physically stop her from that and put the camera down. That's really the best advice I've got.
I'm very angry.
I understand that, but it's time for you to go to bed. Good night. Come give me a hug. I love you.
It would be the party.
Go to the party. And then it's time to go to bed. Okay.
I'm crying.
I see.
My face is dry.
I'll I'll dry your eyes, and then you go to the potty, and then you go to bed, okay?
Okay. Can you give me a hug?
Come give me a hug. I love you.
Love you.
Dry your eyes. Now go to the potty, and then it's time to go to bed. All right. I love you.
Yeah, I love you.
Oh, I love this video. This is such a sweet moment. This kid is so expressive. He's so self-aware. He's saying to the parent, I'm angry. I'm crying. Can you dry my eyes? Can you give me a hug? And this mom has just got this calm, chill tone. She's not getting overactivated. She's available for him. Yes, I'll give you a hug. Yes, I'll dry your eyes. But she's also very clear on what he needs to do next. Go to the potty and go to bed. So I think this is a fantastic tone of voice. She's just holding that really, the mama lion, the confidence. She's holding space for him. She can see that he's just exhausted. And all he needs to do is get to bed. She's not getting activated. She's not being like, oh no, he's crying and being overly empathic and making this whole big fuss of him. She's not getting mad and yelling at him. She's just really giving him that grounding of the adult who means business, who's kind but firm, who knows what the child needs. The child is tired. The child just needs to get to bed. We can all see it. He looks absolutely exhausted. He's like walking around in zombie form. But the sweet child is saying, I need a hug. And she's happy to give it to him. But she's not tripping over herself to try and placate him or soothe him or pacify him. And the caption on this video is, my wife has the patience of a saint. And I think that's fair to say. Like, that's go you. That's parenting done right. And I think it's very, very sweet. The only thing, again, is that, and this is going to be true for all of them, is that this is being videoed and uploaded, right? And I think I just want to put it out there that I think, don't do that. Sharing maybe with your own self in some kind of feed for memories, in your own iPhotos or a private Instagram or private WhatsApp with just the family is one thing. Putting it on the internet, even though this is so sweet and so lovely, who knows how it's going to be judged in the future? Who knows if he wants himself crying as a 4-year-old or however old he is in the future? It's not a great thing for your children to have that online. And again, I'm speaking from experience.
Theo, that wasn't nice. Theo, can you help her pick those up, please? Okay, stop knocking them down, please. And kicking them. Okay, Bubba, you need to stop, okay?
When I say stop, you stop.
Theo.
Stop! Stop! Stop!
Okay, interesting. Our first clue was right there. The parent is sitting far away on the couch, and yet she's involved. She's narrating. She's dictating. She's yelling at him. You need to pick them up. That wasn't nice. Help your sister. And the little girl says to her, when I say stop, he stops. And I think that's the first indication here that this is one of those things that doesn't necessarily need parental involvement. The kids can figure this one out themselves. She'll yell stop at him. She won't put up with it that he's knocking down her castles, and eventually he'll stop, or she'll move them to a higher place, to a table, or maybe eventually the parent will need to remove him. But the idea of this kind of couch parenting where you're sitting there, like, I'm all for couch parenting. Sit on the couch and read a book. Put your legs up, for sure. But don't do couch parenting where you're just yelling from the couch orders and instructions and expecting them to be followed. Little kids are very tactile. They're very sensory. They have a lot of input. They find it very difficult to create hierarchies of what they should put their attention on. And just some random voice, even though it's mom, it's not random, but it's just some voice from the couch yelling out at you is not going to help you to actually be like, oh, what I'm doing now is not acceptable. I should stop. So I think polarize. Either go whole hog, get down on the floor, set a boundary, remove the child, make it very clear what you mean, or don't get involved at all and let the children figure it out for yourself. This middle of the road parenting never works. It never works to just yell, oh, get your shoes on, oh, leave your sister alone, or tidy up your room. Like, it just never works to be removed. And that's the problem with videoing yourself while you're parenting, is that you're videoing yourself and you're more interested in keeping the frame steady and what everything looks like than what your actual energy is towards the children.
Theo, the baby's not that dizzy.
I'm not even sure what that means. The baby's not that dizzy.
Stop!
Abby, he can play with the baby because you're playing with the castles.
Yeah. There's an under baby.
Score.
I have an under baby. You're being a turd.
No, we don't hit him, please. That's not nice. Theo, please don't stand on her bucket. Don't pinch him.
Okay, again, just yelling instructions from across the room.
Theo. Theo, let go. It's not yours. Let go, please. Theo, let go. 3, 2. Make a better choice, please. You're not being very kind. That's not a good choice.
Again, she's making these statements to a child who has no idea what that means. Like, make a good choice to a child who's 1, barely 2 years old. He does not know what it means to make a good choice, to be kind. And I think this, sitting from afar and just judging and just saying, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that, stop this, make a better choice. A lot of it is performance for the camera. I don't know if she talks like this when the camera is off, but I think you either need to decide, wait, this needs parental involvement, and then you need to get in there and actually physically make a stop to the behavior, or you need to just let it play out and allow the children to have some conflict. I actually think it's totally fine. My kids argue all the time, and unless it really escalates and they really need help, I let them figure it out for themselves, and for the most part, they do great with that. So yes, I do teach them communication skills and listening and respect, and we establish rules about sharing or about turn taking or whatever it is. Like, these are conversations that we have in my family. But this is why parents are so exhausted. This is why people hate gentle parenting. This is why people hate parenting in general, because they think they just need to sit there and be so on all the time. And it's much more about the initial investment in establishing clear guidelines, rules, boundaries, consequences, and follow through, and then letting the kids play, just letting them be, and much less about this hovering, right? This is such a hovering type of parenting where you're just in there talking about it. And the caption of this video is, gentle parenting is hard. Why gentle parenting doesn't work. And she's absolutely right. This is why it's hard, and this is why it doesn't work. It's because you're not supposed to be doing it like this in this intensive way of constantly just commentary with no action. This parent is just passing commentary and there's no action on her part. She's literally like someone watching a soccer game from bleachers, what's it called? From the bleachers, I don't know, from high up in the audience, and she's not on the field. And so it's like, either just watch the game and let it play out and you're not a player, or get involved. Both are fine. Parents need to do both, but they don't need to do this medium thing of just standing from the sidelines, yelling out their ideas.
Theodore, get out of the bucket! That's why gentle parenting doesn't work, kids.
Okay. And then she snaps and yells at him and finishes her video with this, cute punchline. And that's why gentle parenting doesn't work, kids. And it almost feels like this was all a setup. Like she was all the time knowing that she was going to end up yelling at him and then letting us, the audience, know that that's why gentle parenting doesn't work. And again, I'm not throwing any shade at this particular mom. I've done much worse parenting in my life. I have, I know that people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. And I'm the first to say that I've yelled and I've punished and I've made tons of mistakes, shamed, blamed, whatever as a parent. And I've also been really permissive at times. So again, I'm just saying this for us all to learn from. But I think that gentle parenting doesn't work when it's just a stream of consciousness, where you're just blurbing out these predetermined mantras and scripts. Oh, hands aren't for hitting, make good choices. Are you ready to be nice? These are the types of things that they don't work. They're not a human interaction of saying, hey, what you're doing right now isn't working. You're hurting your sister. You can either stay here and play nicely, or I have to remove you from the situation, or something like that. That's more hands-on and clear and direct and actually leads to action, right? Not just constant droning of voices in the background. Now, one of the things this parent doesn't realize is that she is making her instruction, her voice, her input so cheap, right? It's just always there. It's like a radio in the background. I tune it out completely. It just becomes elevator music. I don't even hear it. If I'm one of these kids and I'm sitting there, the girl told you right at the beginning, he listens to me when I say no, i.e. back off, mom. I've got this. We're fine. But mom's not backing off. Mom's in the weeds. Mom's there. She's mixing it up. And I think that's because many of us parents think that this is good parenting. This is what it means to be involved. This is what it means. We have to be present. We have to be in there. And it's like, fine, be present with your kids, have quality time with them, read to them, play with them, cook with them, tuck them in. But don't be present by being this constant droning voice of judgment passing your opinions and commentary and narrating, right? This weird narrator in the background that's actually got a camera on and constantly saying, you know, what the child's doing, if it's good or not good. I don't think that that gives you any authority, right? Like ultimately you have no authority here because the words you're saying have zero influence on them.
If you yell at me one more time, I'm gonna go in another place. No! I wanna stay with you. Okay, you can stay with me, but please don't yell at me. I don't like to be yelled. Can I have a hug? No! This is for... Here.
Okay, so it's a very sweet video. It's also been edited, so I don't know what happened in the bit that we weren't shown. But the parent is saying, do you need a hug? The child screams no at her. And she says, please don't yell at me. If you yell at me, I'm going to have to go. And I think it's a little soft. I think she could be a little bit firmer with that. She doesn't need to say, please don't yell at me. She doesn't, you know, but I like that this parent's saying, if you scream in my face, I'm out of here. I don't want to be treated that way. I'm happy to be here for a hug for you. It's warm, it's loving, it's honest, it's there. But she's not saying, hey, you can just treat me however you want. You can scream at me. And I think that she's right that the child feels that change in tone and is saying, okay, 1 minute. My parent has a boundary of how much abuse she's willing to take from me. If I'm screaming, she's okay giving me a hug. She's sitting there. She's present. She's waiting for me. She's attuned and very empathic, but she's also a human being and I can't just, you know, scream in her face. And I think that's great. This is a cute video and it's kind of been packaged to show that if I just say, hey, do you need a hug? And I stay calm, my child will immediately say, here, this is for you. And everything's good again. I don't think that's always the way it happens, especially not with children who are very intense emotionally and have prolonged, maybe violent, aggressive, loud tantrums. It's not always going to be that simple that you could just stay calm and say, do you need a hug? And I know that a lot of people are going to have that challenge of staying calm in that moment. But I want to underscore what this parent got right with the consequences. If you scream in my face, I'm not staying here. And I think that she could have a little bit more authority and backbone. It doesn't make her mean. It doesn't make her authoritarian or punitive, to set clear boundaries of what I'm willing and unwilling to put up with.
No, no. Cross, get down, please. Cross.
I'll give him one more time.
Cross, get down. Do not touch. No, no. Cross, get your ass down now.
Okay, so here's another example of a parent who's behind a camera rather than actually engaging with her child. She's got a very young child, 1, 2, standing on a swivel chair. It looks like a precarious situation, and then touching blinds that he shouldn't be touching. And instead of just coming right up to him, scooping it up and saying, no, we're not going to play with the blinds. I don't let you do that. She's, you know, saying it very gently from across the room. Do not touch those blinds, y'all, right? It's just this very kind of gentle, a droning voice in the background that is so easy to tune out if I'm a curious toddler who's having so much fun with the blinds, right? I'm never going to hear that. I guess that's the message I want you all to understand, is that parenting is a hands-on sport. It's a contact sport. It's not a sport that you can do from the sidelines, just kind of belting out the magical phrases that you've learned from the gentle parenting world. And if you just say them right, your toddler's suddenly going to change his whole cognitive development to be able to reason and to understand consequences and to divert his attention and focus away from the shiny object and onto what you're saying and listen attentively, and then decide to course correct, self-reflect and say, actually, this wasn't a good choice. I'm going to make a better choice. This is such unrealistic parenting. It's almost like this parenting advice, this parenting genre hasn't met real children, especially not real toddlers. And they think that when a toddler's having a big meltdown, I have to just keep saying, are you ready to be nice? And when a toddler's smashing the blinds up, I have to just say, don't touch those blinds. That is not how parenting works. You need to get in there, make the boundary clear, and immediately follow through with the consequences. You can be gentle while you're doing that. You can be kind. You can be loving. You can say kind words like, hey, I love you, bunny, but I'm not going to let you do this. That's fine. But you've got to actually do the parenting bit. And the bit that these parents are missing is the bit where you actually do the thing that stops the child from behaving in a destructive way. And yeah, that involves your body, that involves your hands, that involves picking the child up or taking the thing away or moving them to a different direction or splitting the siblings up, or, you know, you have to actually get involved if you want to stop the behavior. And what it looks like these parents are doing is they don't really want to stop the behavior. They want to show the content of the child not listening to them, that the disobedience, right? And then they want to, in the end, in many of these videos, they just scream at the child, and then the child gets a shock and suddenly does what the parent says. And of course, they are proving the point that when the parent is clear and loud and in their face and unequivocal and unapologetic, then the child listens. But you can have that same level of authority, of clarity, of being firm, of being authoritative, of being a leader without resorting to screaming. And certainly the reason you're screaming is because you weren't clear for the first 5 minutes, right? Like you let time go on and on. Please don't do that. Please don't touch your sister. Please don't touch the door. I don't like it when you hit me. I don't like it when you throw a chair at me. I don't like it when you scream in my face. I don't like it when you pinch me. Please don't do that. Hands are for, stroking. Hands are not for hitting. All this, you're saying all the mantras again and again and again. And then you're like, enough, don't do that. And suddenly, then maybe some of these parents are spiraling to a feeling of shame. Like, oh, I screamed at my child. I scared my child. And it's just not a very good cycle. It's not a good look. It's not a good feeling. And it undermines your authority time and time again, because what you're training your child to do is to not listen, to tune you out, to be disobedient time and time again while you're talking in a normal voice, and then suddenly to snap to attention when you lose it. And you want to preempt all of that by either not getting involved at all. Like a child's having a tantrum, let them have the tantrum. A child and their sister are arguing over a toy, let them argue over the toy. Okay, the child's playing with the blinds. If you let, then let. If you don't let, then get involved right now and put a stop to it in the beginning before you lose your cool, before your child has learned not to listen to you because you're just background music, right? Before you end up feeling like, none of this works. I can't do any of this. I need to just resort to screaming or to violence, okay? So I think the lessons of all of these very well-intentioned, very clearly loving parents who really want the best for their children is A, don't film yourself while you're in tough parenting situations, or maybe, when your child's having a meltdown or anything, for their own privacy and also for your own parenting skills. Not a good idea. Certainly not for the sake of posting, okay? But even if it's not for the sake of posting, the fact that your hands are busy, your brain is busy on the content you're creating is going to stop you from being able to be actually present and help your child in that moment. Second of all, don't wait for it to get too late that you're going to lose your cool and scream. Get involved early on. And third of all, maybe don't get involved at all. You can say less, you can speak less. Those mantras are meaningless. They're more for you than they are for your child, okay? The idea of hands are not for hitting or make good choices, you can say them once in a while. There's no harm, whatever. I've also said them. I also say that kind of thing. But you have to understand that that's not what's going to moderate the child's behavior in that moment. That's not what's going to modify their choices. That's not going to actually get through to a toddler's brain. They don't know what you're talking about. What's going to get through is actually putting the consequences into action and showing rather than telling. If you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for being with me here today. Why don't you go over to my latest Instagram post and leave me the dancer emoji, and I will reply with a hug emoji. And that way I'll know that you made it to the end of this video. And make sure that you're subscribed. Press the like button. That really helps me with the algorithms. And leave me a comment down below. What is your key takeaway from this video, and what would you like me to react to next? Meanwhile, keep on living that high fam life. Much, much love. See you in the next one.